Okay, this is a piece of Tom Postlethwaite's graphics. This is his third project, which he did in about 5 weeks, so it's quite a short project. His overall theme was culture, and in this instance he decided to look at his hometown of Cirencester. So typical starting point, looking at culture, looking at the events, just getting a bit of mind map going. And he became interested in looking at stamps because they're a nice graphic outcome because they're very beautifully designed very often by tradition. So it's a nice thing to do if you want to do something a little bit different. So got a nice little collection of original stamps. You might have had a little bit more analysis on there, but Tom's style, as you'll see, is very open and very clean. It's quite different to other people's, and you get some very nice results. So I just looked at some possible final outcomes that are connected in with the theme. So it's got a nice clear brief there, and it's a set of celebratory stamps for a small selection of Britain's market towns. So he's been down to the local museum, and that's important that you get out and do things to make the research more interesting, rather than just sit and look at Google. So going out, finding things, so it looks like he's found some nice shots of Roman bits in the museum, hardly surprising for Roman Carinium. So then he started looking at the Queen's head. It's a feature of every stamp, and he started looking at it both manually and digitally. So just sort of mosaicing in there different things, so to connect in the mosaic concept and the Queen's head. So some nice little cuts, so taking the outline and just playing with different objects. And I think these are done purely with a simple paper cut that's just framed out different things which have been put behind, which builds on work we did at AS. So nice little collection of first day covers. There was a family collection of stamps, as there often is. So nice little collection. You might have analysed it a little bit more. So then it starts to be experimental. One of the key things of Cirencester is, of course, the wool trade, famous for it. So he's got some nice experiments that go outside the norm for graphics. So this is a kind of tapestry or something, but it's in wool, and then he stitched it onto paper and created this cheerful little sheep looking at us. So it's a cartoony woolly sheep. So it's got more little experiments, a little bit of printing, just playing with these mosaic-y ideas, seeing what he can do with that. So then he's had to go at some a little bit of lino printing there, just sort of playing around, going a bit sort of Mondrian-ish in the way he explores the relationships of these shapes. And he comes back to his wool, and he learns to knit. Nice to see an experimental technique that goes beyond the obvious. Everyone does a bit of photography and a bit of Photoshop and a bit of this, but to start to learn to knit as part of a graphics project is interesting, and it's a refreshing change. So back to this, just taking the ball of wool and really sort of simple form of a sheep. Nice little cutout technique, just overlaying it, and he's got some nice designs emerging here. So unusual experiments, some working better than others. A little bit short of annotation on these, which is this we've marked and is in the high 70s, and it's probably the absence of annotation that is holding it there rather than the actual quality of the graphics, because the ideas are lovely and the way they're carried out is very precise and very clean. Okay, so we've got a little bit of a lino experimentation going there, still working with his sheep, getting a sort of more accurate woolly stitched outline that's less sort of cartoon-like, just building repeats, looking at some first day album covers again, getting more in a more directly sort of connected theme. Then he's looking at sort of planning the first day cover, how a leaflet might unfold, just dealing with how things fold for the actual issue of the stamp. Looking at sort of various aspects, so he's reduced his mosaic thing down to a very, very simple border, and he's got his sheep represented here, and he's just got the town represented very simply, and he just changes it subtly, because there it looks very hilly, which we aren't, and then he's got a simpler solution there, just subtly representing the town, and he develops that through. We don't get many screen dumps showing what's going on, but this is quite a short project. And the final thing, he gets this nice little outcome here, whereby it's just a little folded thing. There's the first day issue stamp, the icon of the sheep just repeated down the bottom, and it feels very professional, very slick and very tidy. And his final design comes up And so we've got his sheep repeated, we've got the final design, the mosaic reflecting the Roman history, we've got the Queen's head because we have to have it, and he's got a really nice, clean, well presented mountboard, which for a short project is a really nice outcome.